Hi, I'm Naomi Millan. I'm here at 2016 Greenbuild. It has been a fantastic show. We're here on the second day towards the end of the day. So I have with me Nathan Stodola. He's the Vice President of Product Development for the International Well Building Institute, and he has graciously accepted to take a couple minutes to tell us a little bit about the well building standard and how facility managers can apply it in their existing buildings. So Nathan, thank you so much. I know this show is really busy.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot of booths all around us.
Yeah, so it's been great. So first, could you just take a little bit and talk about what is the well building standard?
Sure, the well building standard is the first of its kind to really be focused on evaluating the conditions in buildings that affect human health. And so we're looking at environmental conditions around and also how the building design can influence healthy behaviors positively. It's made up of 7 different concepts, so starting with air, looking at a lot of air quality, material safety, water and quality, nourishment, designing for healthy eating and limiting the unhealthy foods in the space, light for visual acuity to avoiding glare and to promote the circadian rhythm, fitness, looking to promote physical activity throughout the day and exercise, comfort, which includes both acoustic comfort, thermal comfort, and ergonomics, and then finally mind, which is a combination of beautiful design and biophilia, and also a whole host of features dedicated to the occupants of the space itself, to the companies that might be occupying well buildings. I like to say that the well building standard, building is almost more a verb than it is a noun, so there's more than just the physical structure that the standard is concerned about.
So one thing, the standard has been out for 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. How is it being adapted in the market? There are lots of projects that have are pursuing the standard.
There's great uptake. We have nearly 300 projects that have registered to pursue it in over 20 countries, and that's representing upward of 50 million total square feet. And of all of those, we have 10 now that have gone through the entire certification process and can now bear the well-certified mark. And those 10, that means that they have gone through their design phase, the construction phase, the occupancy phase, and then what is another sort of special aspect of the well is the performance verification, where a well assessor, which is from our partnership with GBCI, comes and does an on-site assessment, taking air quality measurements, water samples, acoustic tests, and doing a visual inspection of the building to make sure that the conditions in the space are as good as they were designed for.
Sure. Now, is it like other rating systems where there's levels that you can achieve?
Absolutely. About 40% of the standard is made up of preconditions. So failure of a single one of these features will prevent a building from achieving certification. But the remainder are all optimizations, and those let the projects achieve higher levels. So silver is the baseline, and then you can get gold and platinum if you achieve many of those optimization features. And those optimizations are spread throughout all of the different concepts. So a project could choose to specialize in certain ones. And this gives a great opportunity for particular buildings to focus on what's within their control. That if there's an existing building, it may be limited in some of the things to the preconditions based on construction that has already taken place, but the project owner could look at a lot of the different protocols that are in place, everything from fitness incentives to promoting altruism to healthy catering services that aren't affected by the building structure at all, and use those towards still achieving a gold certification.
Okay. So you could kind of overcome the limits of an existing building.
Absolutely, and there's also different typologies within the program. So there's the core and shell, which is for entire buildings that are owned and then rented out to tenants. So that's one that actually is looking mainly at putting something available for future occupants to be able to use. And then there's the new and existing interiors, and that's for one of those tenants to come in. And then finally, there's the new and existing buildings, the whole building, buildings. That's essentially the owner-occupied project where there's the greatest amount of control within the space. And so within the interiors typology, a lot of the things that might be a precondition for a whole building are now in optimization, saying that we recognize that a tenant will not be able to change the windows in their space or what kind of entrance goes into the main building itself, but we do want to reward projects that select buildings that meet those qualities, and so achieving the optimizations then gives them more points towards gold and platinum.
Okay. Should people one day, if they're considering learning more about this standard and pursuing it, is it something you kind of do wholesale, like all at once, or is it something that you can kind of work towards area by area?
So the well building standard is a holistic approach. We do not currently offer a concept level certification. So in terms of becoming well certified, it is something that they should be going in all at once. That said, the well building standard also is freely available to download from wellcertified.com. And so if a project wants to test out some of the features, see what might be feasible, identify pain points, do their own gap analysis on it, then that's something they can do for getting involved there. And that certification is also valid for 3 years, and then after that a project needs to recertify and be evaluated on site again to make sure that all of the conditions and the programs that were in place in the beginning continue to be beneficial. And that also is an opportunity for projects to pursue additional features. So perhaps the first time through, the project was just barely getting all of the preconditions through and they're satisfied with silver, but 3 years down the line after the success of that, by the time recertification rolls around, they can submit additional optimizations that they've now implemented and then achieve a gold rating.
Now, thinking about other systems, I'm throwing a lot of questions at you, but like, okay, so LEED and I don't know, there's a bunch of different like green. This isn't a green standard.
Right.
This is something that's meant to work with a green standard?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's because we recognize there's been an enormous amount of work on green standards already, and we didn't want to try and enter that marketplace and try to divert people away from the excellent work that's been done already. So this program is focused all on the conditions within the space itself. And there's going to be some amount of overlap between them all, because a lot of times the intentions are aligned. That's a project that is building for LEED generally is taking a lot of these considerations. They're building for quality, and that means that they are in a great position to then move to the well building standard. And to take advantage of projects that do want to achieve both systems, we are currently working on what we're deeming these crosswalks. So looking at that core that might be related and streamlining it. If the LEED standard is looking at this set of ideas or content, and the well standard is looking at this section, we all have our own individual things that are not covered in the rating system, but there's a bit here in the middle that's an overlap. We are working with LEED, Green Star in Australia, the BREEAM rating system in the Living Building Challenge to publish these crosswalks that say that evaluate that overlap and say that if a project is actually pursuing both programs, we're making the decision that these minor differences are small enough that they can go away, and streamlining this and knowing that the more buildings that will be pursuing this, the better our overall mission is achieved, and that's more than makes up for any minor differences between the two programs.
Okay, that's interesting. So anything that you would want, an audience of facility managers, any nutshells that you would want to give them so they can kind of start wrapping their heads around it?
A couple of things. One is that the well building standard has really pushed a lot of the demand on to be coming from the owners. Now, because we're focusing on the occupants of the building, which are cost a project 2 orders of magnitude more than they pay in energy, then the project owners are looking at that saying, oh, well, if I can do something to decrease the absentee rate or increase productivity or something like that, that immediately affects my bottom line. And a lot of times that means that the project owners, the companies, are now willing to take a look at a lot of things that building engineers have been pointing out for a long time, saying, hey, we could use some extra funding to get an upgrade here, and now the project owners are seeing that as being an integral part into this rating system, and it's now like part of their bigger overall budget. So that's something that we've seen has really created a push towards excellence in mechanical systems and just general building operations. The other is that the well building standard has about 100 features, and all of those there are written in a very specific way. There's a combination of performance-based ones, of design-based ones, and then operations one. And for all of them, we have a program of these alternative adherence paths, so that we write the standard one way, and it's to achieve a certain intent, which is written right above, but we recognize that there may be other ways of achieving that intent. So projects are encouraged to submit these alternate adherence paths to achieve the same goal without following exactly the rules that are written, and then those will be evaluated by GBCI or certification partners and the IWBI, and then we frequently will be accepting those and say, yes, your plan to reduce mold growth, or your plan to increase occupants' control over their lights, or many different scenarios will be equivalently effective as what's written in there. So you can do this instead, and we'll give you full credit for that feature. So if an owner is coming to a building's operator and saying, hey, well, you got to do this, 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 and this, and so they might say, well, that's not going to work in this building, or that'll be really expensive. They can look at what the point of the feature is, and then say, all right, well, I have another way to address that, and submit that through the AAP process.
That's excellent. That'll really be helpful for existing buildings to kind of work with what they have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. This was great.
Yeah.